Got it. 168 mass shootings for this year alone. The odds of being involved in a mass shooting now are going up dramatically. On top of that, and I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but I mean, we have so psychologically scarred the young people in this country with all kinds of variant theories of who you can be and what you can be. When you are what you are. On top of that, you add the drugs, the puberty blockers, the steroids that a lot of these children are getting, and it's a wonder we don't have more. We are the most drug society that has ever lived on this planet. And on top of that, and I don't know, this is what I don't know if it has anything to do with it. Maybe you can comment. There's a shortage now of Adderall and things. It's developing. And so I don't know if people can't get their benzos. And Doug, maybe you can comment on this. We always think of heroin as addiction as the horrible addiction of addictions. And it is. It's a horrible addiction. But benzo addiction takes a lot longer to kick. In fact, I have a friend, Scott, who actually works in this field. A heroin addiction, your brain needs about a year after you've quit heroin or opiates to go back to normal. It's about a year healing process for your brain. If you do an MRI, from when you started heroin to when you a year out, your brain has pretty much healed. Well, with benzodiazepines, it's about 18 months. It's one of the longest effects of addiction a human being can have. And so we're not talking about the guy who's cooking meth on the street. We're talking about the average person who just gets who needs the average child, the average person who needs benzodiazepines just to live day by day. I've known, unfortunately,
the suburban mom.
Yeah, the suburban mom. I've known people who have been given, I'm doc, I've got nerves, I've got this, I've got, I'm just it's a little hard right now. Well, no problem. We'll give you some benzos. And, as with any drug, you take it for a while and you need stronger and stronger doses. And the people I've known, I've said, have you tried quitting? And it's like, if you go online, I don't even tell people to quit anymore. I just tell them to go see their doctor, because quitting cold turkey benzos can kill you. It's a very, very dangerous drug. And we have a nation of people addicted to benzodiazepines. So it's a mind-altering drug. I would guess if you show the picture, and it doesn't matter, he's black, white, whatever, I don't care. There's the equal amount. There are equal opportunity people that have been psychologically starved or no faith, nothing. The family's rejected them, whatever it is, that drugs are involved. I would say that there's a very, very good case in most of those multiple shootings, 168 this year, that drugs were involved. We know the Nashville shooting, drugs were definitely involved. So nobody asks the question about the drugs. They always, it's the gun, it's the gun, it's the gun. Well, what's driving these people to become psychotic? We can't address that. All of a sudden, these people wake up one day and that evil gun just starts whispering to him, go kill somebody, go kill somebody, go kill somebody today. It doesn't work that way. There's all kinds of conditions, psychological, medical, that get people to the point where they're able to go out and pull that trigger on innocent people and shoot them, especially children. And that's what we see going on. This society, our society, has literally gone mad. If you go back to Romans 1, and I would suggest anybody that can go to YouTube and listen to Dr. John MacArthur's sermon on Romans 1, because, one of the comments he says is, I used to wonder what it was like to live in a Romans 1 society. I no longer wonder. I see it day by day. And if you read it, the last stage of divine abandonment is divine insanity. God gives you over to a reprobate mind, that you do not know right from wrong, up from down, black from white. You just don't know it. You've just become totally and unequivocally just insane. And that's what we see going on a mass level in this country. People just losing it between the food, the breakup of the family, the drugs, all of it. A mass insanity happening to our nation right now. And then it's protected.
And then tie in the economy, and then the politics, and the social media, and the video games, and the movies, and the music, and society breaking apart. Witchcraft becoming very popular now for people.
SatanCon just happened, where they had the largest group of Satanists meeting. And it always amazes me. They're out there tearing the Bible apart. Doug, why aren't they tearing the Quran apart?
because the Quran doesn't hold power.
Well, not only that, they know what the Muslims would do if I stood up in a pulpit and started tearing the Quran apart. These people are consummate cowards because they know Christianity says to love your enemy, forgive those who do evil to you. So they take advantage of that because they're cowards. It's like the guy who wants to beat up the little kids. There's no one around to stop him. He knows he can do it. But Reverend Salman Rushdie or somebody else that would criticize the Quran, he still has a death sentence. What was it, in the 1980s? He did that, the book, The Satanic Verses, and he still has a death sentence over him. These people are cowards. They won't tear up the Quran because they know who would come after them.
Well, and there's a reason though,
Yes,
and once again, if you're not watching this, we are Christians. We do not denounce the word of God or the
absolutely.
Son of God. We promote and we magnify. And because of that, we should stand strong in our faith because he is our King of ages. He is our King of kings. And the God of this world, Lucifer, has taken shape in many different forms and has been called many different things over the eons. And I mean, when you look at from the Buddhist to the Norse Viking, to the Sumerian, the Mesoamerican, Native American, and then also the how would you say this, Mohammedans, they all worship the complete opposite of God.
Yes.
And because of that, their religion reflects it, right? The way they treat people reflects it. Maybe the most peaceful are the Buddhists, but that's where your Eastern religion gets into. You have the Buddhism, yeah, we're nice and we just sit around and hum all day and stretch. But then you get quickly into those Eastern religions and you go into a pantheon of gods very fast. And all that is just multiple doorways being open while the soccer moms are taking hot yoga classes, trying to lose weight. And they're, doing all these little different rituals. They don't realize it. Some of them do, though. Some of them do know, and they don't care. And I think the care is the problem. Just like with this young man today, he's 24 years old, young black male, goes out into Atlanta, Georgia to a hospital area, a place that, for one thing, you're not going to have firearms at, or at least you're not supposed to, right? They're supposed to have security guards, they're supposed to have police there. He walks right into this area, has a hoodie on, has his face covered with a mask, and proceeds to open fire. All right. So, one of the things that I tell people all the time, and even though you can take all the training in the world that you want, a guy with a world's worth of training versus a guy surprising you with a firearm is still not going to be even. All right. Even if you can jujitsu your way all the way to him, your Krav Maga on your way all the way to the guy, you still got feet while it takes him, what, depending on the gun, 4 to 5 pounds to pull the trigger. So you're already at a disadvantage. There's some places, like courtrooms and hospitals where there's supposed to be armed security. You're not supposed to have the availability to have a assailant come at you with a gun, but it does happen. So what do you do about it, Bob? What would you do if it was you? You're coming into the hospital area, and let's take you out of the actual scene. Let's say I'm going to put Bob Griswold in the parking lot, walking up towards the building, and you start to hear gunfire. What do you do, Bob?
Well, for me, generally, I'm not. If I'm in law enforcement or something like that, I might run to the gunfire. If I had my family with me, I'm going to get the family out of there. I'm definitely not going to play John Wayne in that situation. My primary concern is that if I was in the building and I see, like right now, somebody walking up with a hoodie on and a mask, my spider sense is going to go up, and I'm probably going to put myself in a position to where that gentleman would not have direct contact, ability to contact me directly, cover concealment. It just, something would be off about it. And I would notice that. That's the thing of situational awareness. That's the thing of paying attention to your environment. That's the thing of making sure you're not just sitting there doing this on your phone. Any gun-free zone, you have to realize it is a place where people can take advantage because they know there's not going to be an armed CCW person. They know pretty much they're going to have free reign. And so it's up to you if you carry a gun in there or not. That's your choice. I don't like going anywhere unarmed today. Some places you are absolutely you have to go through metal detectors or something. But it's just understand that if you're in a place where guns are prohibited, you're in a higher priority target for the active shooter. That is a for certain. A school, a church. In my church, on a church security detail, one of the things I've mentioned is when the pastor says, every eye closed and every head bowed, that's the time the security team has their head on a swivel. We don't close our eyes. We don't bow our heads because everybody else is. And we want to make sure that situation is not taken advantage of, because when the whole church bows their head and closes their eyes, I mean, my gosh, what better time to shoot people than that? There's just things that you learn over time to help protect yourself. And that's the one thing is the hoodie, the mask. That would have definitely caught my attention if I had seen it. And I would have I would have gone definitely from yellow to orange in that situation. I would have started looking what's going on here. Something good is probably not going to come of this. And then to make arrangements depending on, is my wife in the hospital? Am I going to visit a friend? What's the purpose of me being there? If it's just going there for a procedure, I'm going to probably just wait and let discretion be the greater part of valor. Because again, as you said, you cannot be the person who initiates the violence. He is going to initiate it, and then you have to respond to it. So if you see somebody you suspect that is a potential active shooter, make sure you're not in his direct line of sight. Get in a place where you have cover concealment so that if it does go south, you can have that in your favor.
So let's talk about two things real quick. Well, three things.
And I want to mention one more, excuse me, let me say one more thing. The odds are you're going to have a handgun. He's going to have a long gun. That is not good math there. That's not good math on your side.
So one thing I want to say is that if you have these AirPods, these Apple AirPods, or you have little wireless, you have wireless headphones. They're very easy to put in. I know some people wear them while they're driving, and then they get out and they go into a store because you don't want to hear all the white noise of people coughing and hacking and arguing and all that stuff. So people will wear headphones. Well, here's a problem, is that you need all of your senses.
Absolutely.
In combat. In combat, you need all of your senses. And every day you walk outside your door, you're in a war zone. You just haven't been shot at. That most likely you haven't been shot at yet. So whenever you get out of your vehicle, phone in your pocket, headphones off, situational awareness. One of the things that I always do is I get out of my car, and I 360 degrees look all around me. I'm looking for anyone who's looking at me. I'm looking for anyone who's acting what I would be described as suspicious. That word suspicious may be different to a bunch of people, so I'll say suspicious. And then as I go to approach a store, I am watching my left and my right laterals from the cars, all right, as I'm walking. And then I'm also paying attention to what's going on in front of me. And typically about every 4th to 5th step, I turn around and I watch my six. I watch my back. Got that from patrolling in Iraq. I can't turn that off. But what I don't do is I don't put something into my face that distracts me from everything that's going on. It's not healthy for you when you're trying to stay alive longer. So, one of the things that Bob also mentioned is cover and concealment. Okay, so let's break down what cover and concealment means. Concealment means that the bad guy can't see you, but bullets can still hit you. Cover means the bad guy can't see you, but bullets shouldn't be able to hit you. So if you're inside a business building, okay, and you are in a hallway or in some sort of a closet, you're in a room, active shooter happens, you seal yourself inside that room. 9 times out of 10, I've been there, done this. Your hallway, your walls are made out of 2x4s and sheetrock. of which a pistol, 9mm round, is going to burn straight through it. And a 5.56 round is going to burn through multiple of them, most likely before it becomes frangible. So here's a good tip for you is anybody who's listening, all you got to do is just stand up, point your hand, hold your gun in your hand, right? So make your hand look like a little gun. Chill out, FBI. It's not real. So you're going to point out, and then all you're going to do is say, go below my hand. I want you to just shrink down below where your arm is. Because from the average person, from 5 foot tall to 7 foot tall, you got, about 2 feet worth of distance there, typically. And anywhere between there, a bullet's going to fly. So anywhere between 5 foot tall and 7 foot tall is the average American. So that means you want to be below 5 foot tall. That means you want to be crouching 4 foot, 3 foot down on the ground if there's ever an active shooter. You don't do like they do in Hollywood and you stand up against the wall and you try to get skinny. The bullet is going to burn right through your body along with the sheetrock. You need to get below firing line. So there's one tip. Here's another, is if you're in a parking lot and you hear shooting going on and you hide behind a car is proven to be not considered cover anymore, because even 9mm rounds are going to burn right through your modern day car. You can hide behind the wheel well, all right, where you're going to have the big disc brakes. That will stop almost a rifle round, maybe even a rifle round. But hiding behind a car, hiding behind a door, you got nothing. You got thin metal with cavities in between the doors, and then nothing. The round's going to go straight through it. So don't hide behind a car thinking, I have cover. You have concealment. What is cover? Cover is a brick wall. Cover is a large tree. Cover is a berm of dirt. Cover is another building in between you and whoever is firing. Concealment is a bush, a car, a box. I don't know, Bob, maybe a big industrial sized garbage can might stop a
Doug,
small caliber.
if I was behind you, you'd be cover.
Thank you. Thank you. That helps my ego today. But these are things that we picked up and we learned in Iraq, that even though you may presume that you have cover, that cover may quickly change the first time a round goes straight through it. And here's another tip for you. Don't stand directly against walls. Here's a reason. The reason why is that for some unique ability, these bullets, especially rifle rounds with the velocity that they have, will seem to travel down a wall and just pop out right in front of you. We saw it in Iraq, saw it in Afghanistan. It does happen. Law enforcement has experienced it too. So, you keep a little bit of space between you and a wall. Make sure you're staying low and you're crouched. Get off of your phone. Find the nearest exit. Do not go towards the sound of the shooting. And that is part of your run, your hide, and your fight. So let's talk about the hiding portion real quick, Bob. If we're talking about people who were inside this hospital, all right, and remember, we have 1 person dead, 4 people wounded. All right, this happened 2 hours ago. Where would you hide immediately when you see the shooter open up fire? What would you do?
For me, I would try to get around a corner if that's available. The thing here is situational awareness. If you're in any building from Walmart to a hospital, you want to keep a running account of where you can exfil that building. You want to look for exit signs. You want to know how to get out of a building quickly. And that's really presence of mind. It's a trained behavior that I'm walking in that hospital. I know I just came in the front door. So where's my next exit as soon as I come in the front door? Because if that front door is compromised, I'm going to have to find somewhere where I can get out of that building. It might be a security, a janitor's closet. I don't know.
Would you be willing to break a window down?
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to dive out of a window from a 2nd or 3rd story?
Well, at 67, that would probably do me as much damage as a gunshot wound. So as age related, I would have to take that into consideration. I mean, I jumped off when I was when I used to be a general contractor, I jumped off second story windows just for the fun of it. Show that I could do it, but at my age, I'd probably look for some other path. But again, people jumped out of the World Trade Center rather than get burnt alive. I mean, they went skydiving.
Mhm. Yeah, gosh, I can't remember which mass shooting it was at a college. It was the Asian male who had two pistols, and he chained the doors.
Mhm.
And on the second story, which is where the students were, what he ended up killing? 20,
18 or
30. God, I want to say,
it was a bunch.
yeah, it killed 20, 30 people. Well, what the sad part about this, and if you come to the active shooter course, I go over these cases with people, because if you don't understand the cases, the methodology and the psychology of killers, then when you're in that type of environment, you're not going to know how to think. Well, I say that you may know how to think properly, but I'll give you the edge to say, hold on, I remember this is what people did and they survived. So what ends up happening is this shooter, he goes through, I want to say 3 rooms filled with college kids, kills every single one of them. The fourth room across the hallway, and he's kind of bouncing back and forth. The fourth room across the hallway have been listening to the sound of gunfire. They break out the windows, and it's a little bit higher than second story. So what, probably close to 20 something feet. Second story is normally like what, 10, 12 feet tall. So they're probably close to 20 feet in the air, and all of them jumped out. One person, I think, broke their leg. One person hurt their hip or sprained their ankle, and they all survived. And everyone else died. And those rooms, from the first room with the firing happened to the last room before the other kids jumped out of the window, all sat there and waited for him to come and kill them.
Yeah.
That is a trained mentality, to sit there and wait for your own murder.
Yeah, I mean, and also somebody could have been clandestine at the door and tried to bum rush him. There's a lot of things that you can do. He doesn't have that good of peripheral vision. He's going to try to come in through that door, and if someone's off to his 90-degree, the way the door opens, there's a chance that they're going to have an opportunity to get to him. And you're probably in a schoolroom. It's probably block walls, so it's going to greatly stop or slow down a bullet. Sitting in the corner, cuddling the students up. I mean, the saying is that's why on a long patrol, you don't stand side by side to somebody. You have distance between you because they don't want one grenade to kill you all. So yeah, so you space, and that's the thing. If you had 18, 20 students in a room and he starts shooting, I mean, and the students are spread out, somebody should. I mean, you're going to die anyhow. Try to attack him, whatever. He's sitting down waiting to get killed. We've all seen those pictures in Nazi Germany of people sitting on the edge of a bank where they've dug out and just waiting to get a bullet in the head where they can push you in so they can bury you. That's not a plan. But for me, my primary thing I do in any building is I'm looking for exits. I want to know how to exfil that building quickly. So if I start hearing gunfire, I know where I can scoot out that building. Now, with that said, if it's just 1 or 2 openings, I'm going to make sure there's nobody waiting for people to come out. Make sure that's not being set up. But generally, I want to get out of that building. I want to get people out of that building, and knowing those exits quickly is a really good way. There have been people who've been on a plane and have tried to get out the door they came in, where the exit is right behind them, and they just never paid any attention. And so there's panic going on, and they saw 15 seats up. That's where I came in. That's where I got to go. They don't look around them and see maybe 1 or 2 seats back. There's the exit row with the emergency door there, and that is a fatal problem with people not paying attention to their environment. But as we see more and more of these shootings, again, Dave, let that sink in. 168 today would make it 169. Mass shootings in this country in 4 months. That's over 1 a day. 1 a day. And that's insane. It's
not slowing down.
No, this is the results of a society gone insane, of people losing it. And we've seen that the trans mafia with their day of vengeance. Now they had to cancel it, but I mean, they're making all kinds of threats against Christian people now. We're going to kill you. We're going to do this. How dare you? You saw the I'm not going to even, but he was a particularly loathsome individual. If you dare try to stop me going into a woman's bathroom, it would be the last mistake you ever made. Did you see that video?
Oh, is it amphibian? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Trying to get that word to catch on, ladies and gentlemen. Amphibian.
yeah.
Make sure you use it.
So we are watching a society that has watched and practiced violence for now decades. We celebrate violence, and we are watching it come into the public domain. It's just like the Coliseum on a nationwide scale. People want to see it. It was really disgusting. I think it was a Fox reporter, but I don't know. Somebody came out of the building in Atlanta. What can you tell us? What is it about? How many people did he kill? It's like he was an announcer at a gladiatorial game, just trying to get the juicy details. And this is the society we've become. And I want to tie some other things into it now, Doug. Banks, your bank. We are seeing bank failures in this country on a level that we've probably not seen since 1928, worse than 2008. And so right now, you have people, as we mentioned earlier, we are the most drugged society in history. So 10, 15 years ago, I imagine the statistics are higher, but 10 to 15 years ago, the statistics was 1 in 5, 20% of everybody you walk past in the street is chemically altered. Their brain is not firing the way it normally fires because there's some type of chemical in their brain, doing whatever it does. Opiates, benzos, alcohol, marijuana, something along those effects, CBD. And with the access now of these CBD oils, and they are mind altering. I mean, in Tennessee, I know you can buy CBD oils that really, 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 I mean, it's no difference between that and, marijuana. I mean, they're very, very strong. So you have that. You have a chemically altered society. You have a psychologically scarred society, psychologically scarred in the fact that the family is broken, the children are broken. My wife has a martial arts dojo, and from time to time, kids come in there that have had two or three sets of parents. You can tell the kids, there's certain of those kids. Now the majority of them are good kids, but the certain ones that have come in that that they've been injured psychologically. And today in public school with, you can be any kind of amphibian you want. There's hundreds of different types of amphibians. Is that how you say it, Doug?
Well, you could say salamander. You could say amphibian.
Okay. Yeah. Skinks, whatever. Yeah. So, and so the psychological breakdown, and now we're going to add the financial breakdown because the banks now are starting to collapse and people are going to start losing their savings. I mean, mom and pop have worked 40, 50 years and they might be able to have, $2,000 a month supplementary income that they've saved over 40, 50 years along with their Social Security and make it by. But bank collapses and they lose it all. I mean, so we're going to see more and more people that are going to lose it over their life savings just vanishing. Just vanishes. And so
what you said is perfect because when the banks collapse, Bob, let's progress in this conversation. And we're all adults here, right? So let's have an adult conversation of where you should probably be putting your money and your mind and your effort. Bob, when the banks collapse, what will people turn to for revenue and for purchasing power?
Well, women, hate to mention it, prostitution. I mean, that's going to go off the scale. Prostitution will go off the scale. People will pimp out their children. You don't believe it? It happens. It is a massive problem in the United States right now. Parents pimping their children out to make ends meet. You don't like it? You don't believe it? Go just check out the stats. People are going to resort to violence. We see it now. I mean, San Francisco, I can't afford it, so I'm just going to go in and take it. So, there won't be a store safe that you can go to unless you have a armed security detail, because everybody's going to be in there stealing. It's the only way. And we see right now the breakdown. San Francisco, I think Nordstrom just left San Francisco. We see all these big Chicago Walmart's leaving here, there, everywhere.
Target, I believe, left Washington, or at least Seattle and Portland.
Yeah, I mean, so we already see it happening because once the banks fail and you don't have access to your money, you won't be able to have access to
Hey,
food.
but Bob, why did these businesses leave though?
Well,
Let's break
because
that down. Why did they leave?
because the city basically said, these people need the stuff and it's okay for them to steal. I just watched a video of this lady. She went into it was a Walmart type store, and she had a shopping cart filled with meat. And she took it right out the door and was throwing it in her trunk. Now, one of the employees tried to stop her, and she was assaulted for trying to stop her, but she was just throwing meat in the trunk. You're just stealing it. So, Doug, we have had the spirit of lawlessness unleashed on our society. That's why you see the murder. I mean, we've murdered 70 million children. We're dismembering children. We're celebrating amphibianism. And so everything that can go wrong has and is going wrong. Add the bank failure to it. Add the fact that people won't be able to afford food. They won't be able to afford right now. They say most people in America can't afford a new car. I had customers this morning at Ready Made Resources, and I really had a little truck envy. He drove up in a 2023 Ford, cherried out truck. And it was just like, whoa, that truck's nice. But I mean, it was $60,000. And I'm not going to do that. But so Americans now, their budget is not meeting their needs. They're running out of money on Thursday, and they still have Friday, left. And so there's only one thing they have to do is cut the food, cut any kind of enjoyment. And then Americans, you need some discretionary time off. You need to have vacations. You need to have that. And that's going away. And so we're adding psychological condition upon physical condition upon psychological condition upon physical condition to the average American right now. And as we see these concentric circles coming in and in and in, more and more people, they since they've been saturated in violence, John Wick's The Answer. They just go out and that's what they do. I had a bad hair day, and everybody else is going to have one also. So this is, again, why people need to take the active shooter course, because I would say 10 to 20% of people are somehow going to be engaged in acts of violence in the next couple of years that are listening to this program. Somehow or another, you're going to see an act of violence where it's just not a slap in the face. It's some type of extreme violent action one person takes against another person, whether it's road rage, whether it's family rage, whether
Do you think any of those shootings are going to happen on a flat range?
Say that again?
Do you think any of those attempts of pre-attempted murder from some assailant towards a person who's a CCW carrier or just carrying a firearm in general, do you think that's going to happen on a flat range, like an indoor range or an outdoor range?
No.
Why not?
Well, because people have guns, and bullies want to pick on people that are smaller than them, that they know they can fight, that they know they can beat up. I remember there were school bullies, and they never picked on the guy who was on the football team. They never picked on the defensive linebacker. Gee, I wonder why. Because they know what would happen. They wanted to pick on the weak guy, the guy who wasn't popular, the guy, so everybody, they pick on him. And that's what these people do. They know hospitals, schools, so forth are going to be unarmed, and they can go in there with reasonable assuredness and kill a lot of people.
Predatory and picking victims at the drinking well, just like the lions would, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. These people are predators. That's why I want to train you to think like one. And so that when any type of action ever happens, you know how they think and you know how to respond. And look, guys, you're not going to kill them with kindness. You're not going to run up and hug the gun out of their hand as they're shooting innocent people. The only way you're ever going to solve this problem is you're going to have to give good men guns and women. You're going to have to give good men and women guns and set them loose
In
upon
fact, I
the
would
evil in
say,
this
yeah,
country.
more likely give women guns because, you know, el mano to el mano, there's still some chance, but you get a 220, 210 pound man against a 105 pound woman, and she has no chance. I mean, virtually no chance at all. You give her, you know, a 9mm Glock, and she pumps 4 or 5 rounds into somebody. That's a great equalizer.
I
Um,
would rather I would rather hear about the survivor than the victim who was brutally assaulted.
we all
You know
love
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah, we all love it. The church, the guy at church, I think was former FBI guy. You know, the guy started going south, started shooting people. One shot, one kill, boom, dead. I mean, he was celebrated. Carl Rittenhouse. You know, no matter what the left said about him, you know, hey, you start going, you
Kyle
start going,
Rittenhouse. Yeah,
yeah,
Kyle.
Kyle. Well, I said Carl. Kyle. You know, I'm getting banged over the head with a skateboard. Somebody's pulling a gun on me, and I blow his arm off. Hey, you know, I know in the sight of the left, a white guy shooting a white guy is a racist act. I know in the sight of the left, me pulling a gun on you and having you shoot me, that's a racist act. I mean, but that's
Well, and what you're bringing up are facts of societal change. You know, you recently had in Memphis 5 black officers beat to death one young black man. And I didn't see one town set on fire over it.
no.
I didn't see police cars being flipped over. I didn't see a movement around the world. People weren't screaming out this guy's name over in Hong Kong or over in the EU. They weren't holding vigils, you know, all across America for this young man who was brutally killed. And yet we have very little explanation about it, right?
Yes.
And still, you know, you have to understand, that politics guided this problem a long time ago. They
Absolutely.
guided this problem that Donald Trump was the problem. We need to cause more problems so that people think Donald Trump's the reason. And if Donald Trump left, then all these problems would go away. And we'll just stop paying everybody for setting everything on fire and it will go away. And then we will recapture the audience.
Yeah, but once
And that
people
was,
realize
I
once
believe, the
yeah, once
plan.
people realize they get paid for not burning stuff down, where does that end? It never
Our
ends.
our special agents were inserted into the crowds, and I'm not going to give away law enforcement tactics, but our special agents are inserted into these crowds and undercover detectives and undercover police officers. And one conversation that I remember us supervisors having was they were joking whenever they were riding the train out, and this was in Portland, and there was a guy on the train who was handing out $150 to each person. Dozens of people received $150. How much money was this guy walking around with? Little white guy, little young white guy, probably in his 20s. Okay. Same thing happened in Dallas, Texas, when the rioting broke out. We had another video, and this was an actual video, though. And this was captured by a black woman who was filming it. And she was, I believe she was at a place of business, and this was happening right outside. So here's a young white guy in his 20s. Here's 2 young black men, probably, late teens, early 20s. Here's like $200 for you, $200 for you. Go start tearing stuff up. And what do? They're young hoodlums. They wouldn't start tearing stuff up because I got paid to do it.
Yeah. You know, Doug, I
You
want to
know?
throw something out right now, and I don't get paid to do this, but if you are going to carry in today's litigious society, realize that if you are involved in a shooting, and even if you shoot a guy that's raping 28 little babies, there's the chances of you getting sued or some district attorney that's liberal going after you are very, very high. I belong to this USCCA. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it gives me at uscca.com. With that, I get $2 million worth of insurance. It pays for attorneys, it pays for civil suits, it pays for bail. You know, I know that if I am involved in that, the chances of a litigation of some sort are very, very high. And that insurance company covers me. So I just recommend everybody. I mean, I know USCCA is one of a few. I think it's one of the best. But if you're going to carry a pistol, you're going to go armed, make sure that you have an insurance policy, USCCA. Like I said, I don't get paid to advertise for them.
It's smart to have it.
It's just smart to have it. But
And they cover more than just shootings. If you get into a fist fight,
yeah.
if you have to use an edged weapon, which would be a knife, if you get assaulted, right, you can call them. If you get assaulted and you had to pull your gun, you did nothing else, and your gun still gets taken, you can still call them, and they will more or less guarantee to get that gun back within your hands
Yes.
within 72 hours. And they'll have you out, bailed out, representatives standing by. In White Settlement, Texas, we've said this a couple times, but it's worth mentioning again. In White Settlement, Texas, this must have been back in 2018, 2019, active shooter at the church, at the Church of Christ in White Settlement, Texas. And the guy who ends up killing the black man who came in with a shotgun and was, there to kill a bunch of people. I think he only killed one person, unfortunately. He was sued. Okay, the security guard was, and I believe he's a former cop as well. He was sued by the city of White Settlement. He was sued by 3 people in the church. He was prosecuted for murder, had to go to grand jury. That's a lot of money going back and forth.
This is the point. This is the point. If a DA looks at, Joe Blow and sees he has $10,000 in savings and he has a mortgage on his house, a mortgage on his car, he realizes that guy's going to probably plea out because he can't afford it. He can't afford to fight it legally because you're maybe $1 million. But if you have USCCA or something like that behind you, my policy's for $2 million. They're going to realize this guy has the financial assets to really make it difficult for us to go after him. He has a powerhouse in his back pocket. And so high priced lawyers that know how to defend against gun cases, bail, all of that is going to be covered. And so I cannot overemphasize the nature in this litigious society, the need for USCCA or something equivalent, and to have that, because it will happen. You will be Kyle Rittenhouse. You're going to be drugged before court, and the DA will look at that. He'll look at your financial profile, and he'll know he has no chance financially of doing anything about this. We're just going to steamroll him. But if he sees USCCA and $2 million behind it, he's going to realize, well, this is not a really winning case because, he was justified in doing the shooting, and these people are going to put the money where their mouth is. And so the chances of you being charged are going to go greatly down. Not that it won't happen, but if it does happen, you're not going to be financially bankrupted. You're going to have good lawyers on your side defending you. So I just think that is, in this society, it is a must, an absolute must. But as we go back to the recent increased shooting of active shooters, again, we cannot, if you look at any aspect of the American family, the American experience right now, it is all coming apart at the seams, and people are not able to psychologically handle it. People are just watching this bad news happen. I mean, we just tried to kill a head of state that has nuclear powers, Vladimir Putin. We just tried to kill him. We blew up his pipeline. And he's threatening nuclear war retaliation. We just put a submarine off the coast of Korea for the first time in 40 years. And so we're watching not only the internal mechanism of the United States break down, religion is broke down. Religion now is a farce in the United States in most churches because it's not the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's the gospel of self, me.
It's the gospel of everything nice.
Yes, meism. Meism. It's all about meism. And so everything that was the glue of the United States, when you go back and you watch a 1950s, I watched North by Northwest the other night, Alfred Hitchcock, and we just were amazed at seeing how people dressed. Everybody they were just out walking down the street, suit and tie on. Women had dresses on. It was all just,
classy.
Yeah, classy. But today, the society is unraveled. And it's obvious if you do a psychological profile in America, we are a very, very, very sick society, very, very, very unhealthy society.
How
And
much
so,
more how much more dangerous do you think it goes with Title 42 ending on the
oh
11th?
gosh. Oh, if you lived on the border, it doesn't even matter anymore. They'll just bust them all over the country. Um, Day by day, Dave, it's just not Title 42 that'll expire. It's a dozen other things, that crime is not punished. Murderers are let go. Rapists are let go. It's just crime pays off. And the middle class are getting squeezed financially. They're everything about the middle class is they're trying to destroy it. And so there's a multiplicity of factors going into the psychological destabilization of America, especially the children. I mean, especially the children. And when I say children, I mean, maybe from high school down. And I know high school kids aren't children, but I'm using that as an example. So as we watch our society become unglued, you're going to have to change your perspective. That's why, these are mine. Okay. It's an incredible piece of night vision equipment because you're going to see more and more people coming out at night trying to surprise people doing a night rush, in your home, break into your home, be a mass shooting in your home. And if you have the ability to see night vision, I mean, I'm not going to turn them on because it's light in here, but absolutely, I can see 400-500 yards away clearly with these things on a dark night. Now, Joshua, wait a sec. Okay, yeah, Joshua. These are Joshua's right here. He loves them, so we both have a pair, and he has it where he has them up in his room. I have them in my room. If something goes wrong, we can go out at night and just clearly see, which gives us the strategic advantage. I mean, a tactical advantage, an extreme tactical advantage over somebody that doesn't have that capability. So, with that said, just saying, as we see your money become worthless, and that's where it's headed, becoming worthless, there's certain things I would definitely have, night vision being one, the communication equipment being the second. Absolutely, an absolute necessity, because Doug, you're going to know it. These people are going to come out at night. They're going to go into neighborhoods where they suspect there might be some wealth. They're going to kick the door in, and God knows what happens next. But
Well, in law enforcement, when you're patrolling, you have a greater heightened sense of awareness at night because criminality happens mainly in the presence of darkness.
yes,
That's where cowards lurk. And so your average police department, your average police officer has a flashlight. Typically a flashlight from Walmart, maybe the cop shop might have a cheap little Surefire, but that's about it. They'll have a weapon light, maybe a light mounted on their car so they could see, but they don't have night vision. They don't have thermal. Me going back and forth to the border all the time, I ended up buying my own thermal. Uh, we were supposed to have been issued night vision, have it all, had all the stuff for our helmets and all those cool setups, and they never gave it to us. And I worked for Homeland Security, and we were on the border all the time.
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I
So
can
if
tell
they
you,
won't give it to us, the local police departments don't have it. That means they're not going to know who you are when you're walking around.
yeah. Well, that one night we had our alarm went off at our store, and the police, they know me around here, but he drove up. I had nods on, and he was like, "Man, I wish I had a set of those."
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a game changer. Ave Dominus Nox. We own the night. That's what we would say all the time overseas. The things that we could do at night was untested and unmatched in Iraq and Afghanistan. But now we're coming to a point in time where our enemies, thanks to Joseph Stalin Biden, now have our NVGs. They now have thermal. And not only that, the cartel have it. The cartel have better stuff than we do because they can buy the quad nods. They can buy the up-to-date PVS 14s. They can buy all that cool stuff. They can buy the $5,000 thermal scope to put on their little ARs or onto their AKs. Your average citizen barely has a decent pistol and rifle. You can't compare with what seeing at night can
But
do.
compared to the fact that your money is going to be greatly devalued, it comes to the point where I have to exchange some of, for, not all of it, but some of for the absolute necessities of what it's going to take to stay alive. And night vision, radio communication are those necessities of what it's going to take to stay alive. And I don't want to make it sound like an infomercial because that's not my goal here. But I can tell you, you will lose if I have night vision. If a cartel has night vision, and you don't, you will lose. I don't care how much food you have. I don't care how many guns you have. I don't care what you have. If I have a special, what I call special optics, thermal and night vision, that special optics is going to win the day. I mean, we hired somebody recently to come out at night, and he had a Knox thermal on a 22 because we had a really bad rabbit problem eating all my garden down. Well, that problem went away because he was videoing it. The unit videoed, and rabbit after rabbit after rabbit, didn't even know he was in a site, and boom, rabbit fell dead. And so saved my gardens. But so, I feel more sorry for the rabbits than some other things, but amphibian, whatever. But yeah, with this, it is an absolute necessity in this day and age, in my opinion. And that's one of the things about the active shooter course. You're going to get to come here and see and experience what thermal and night vision does. You're going to actually get to see it. So,
yeah, you're gonna be put into scenarios. And once again, airsoft guns like this, I have them all for you. You literally don't have to bring anything. I'm trying to make the ease and availability of the training better on everybody. You don't need to come with your plate carrier and your helmet and your battle belt because this is more or less you would just your concealed carry weapon. I have a few airsoft AR-15s and we'll play with those a little bit, but this is mainly putting you in scenarios like what I did with law enforcement officers. Shoot, don't shoot, stop, assess, look, listen, smell, and then plan out what I'm going to do. Do I need to back off? Do I want to envelop and engage this person? Or do I want to try and to, use my kindness to see if I can smoosh my way past somebody? Don't think though, anything that we're saying right now isn't being applied worldwide or in this country. You go to areas where there's gangs in these neighborhoods, they got people out in the corners. I've drove by them. I've seen them. Right? You have to eventually be in conflict with people who are going to become territorial. And with territories, as they always do, they always eventually expand.
yeah.
And that territory expands towards yours.
If you watch Craig Sawman Sawyer's video, Contraland, he shows that the cartels have people on this side of the border on small knolls or mountains, whatever you want to call them. They have camps set up there on U.S. soil, and they have long-range observation equipment, night vision and day optics, where they're watching anybody approaching. So they can see airplane or car approaching, and then they can use radio to alert, hey, we've got LE coming, LEOs are coming. They're 15 minutes out, whatever it is, but that's happening right on our border, and nothing's being done to stop them. Nothing's being done to prevent those lookouts from giving that kind of information, but it begs the question why. That's another program. But believe me, if somebody does break into your house, there is a strong chance they have reconned you 3-4 days to see what your habits are, whatever. And this is why, again, an active shooter course, situational awareness, presence of mind, all those things come into play because we are going to see it get worse and worse and worse.
Bob, we got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes left. The active shooter course is available on ready-made resources. You can either call Robert and you can sign up from there, or you can go to the website and sign up from the 23rd, 24th, 25th. So that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 30 hours of training, $850. And you can pick our brains for every bit of information. You are not going to leave this training venue without new motivation and confidence in your skills that you can apply to save your life, to save your family's life, and to get out of the X, out of the hot zone. To survive is the whole goal here. Bob, can you give out any other information that you want? We got about 1 minute left.
Okay. Well, they can get in touch with me at 800-627-3809, 800-627-3809, readymaderesources.com. We probably have one of the largest in-house inventories of any prepper company or emergency company in the country. We carry night vision thermal in stock. We have food, water filtration, solar, camping equipment, books, videos, just a lot of equipment at our store, so we can ship it immediately. If you order one of these, it goes out no later than the next day, unless that's the weekend. But so we have it in stock. We can ship it right out to you. 800.
And if you do get a helmet, make sure that you're asking Bob which type of helmet that you specify.
Yes,
I
yes.
suggest if you get night vision, buy a helmet and the attachment for it.
Yes. So,
all right, what's your number, Bob?
800-627-3809.
All right, guys. If you have any questions, you can email me at americanvindictashow@gmail.com, or you can very gladly call Robert Griswold. You don't have to buy anything if you talk to Bob. Just ask him, this is what I think I need, and he will walk you through the process and
Absolutely.
even price it out for you if need be. And the night vision, you can put on a payment plan, so you don't have to pay it all up front.
And we will beat anybody's price. Be careful when buying night vision. You notice most people do not give the specifications on their tubes. There's a reason why, because they're going to sell you a tube that, if they put the specifications on it, they wouldn't be able to get the money they're asking for it.
Insane stuff. Guys, it's only getting weirder out there. It's only growing more dangerous. So stay frosty, stay vigilant. The enemy's out there. We'll see you next time.
God bless, Doug. Thank you.